Hey guys, tonight we begin with the epic yet brutal life of a Viking Berserker, exploring their fierce spirit, the harsh realities of their world, and the mystical frenzy that made them legends. We will hint at their unique blend of warrior ethos, spiritual connection, and the relentless struggle for survival in a land of ice and fire. So, before you become a Viking Berserker, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy our content. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a joy to see how many people from all over the world are ready for this journey. Now, dim the lights, close your eyes, feel your body deeply relax, leaving the day behind. Forget who you are right now, and let's begin your new life as the Viking Berserker tonight. Congratulations! You've just woken up in a crude, drafty longhouse in a remote fjord around the year 850 AD. The good news, you're alive, strong, and your axe is still sharp. The bad news, the bitter cold has already seeped into your bones, and a fresh raid looms on the horizon. Your bed is a pile of straw and furs shared with your kin, the air thick with the smell of wood smoke, damp earth, and unwashed wool. There's no soft mattress, no warm central heating, just the rough scratch of animal hides and the constant biting chill that promises to test your resolve from the moment you open your eyes. You blink awake as a grizzled elder's booming voice calls for the morning meal, his words echoing through the smoky gloom, a harsh summons to a new day of toil and potential conflict. Your home is a single, vast longhouse, a sturdy but simple structure of timber and turf where multiple families, their livestock, and the ever-present cold coexist. The aroma is a primal blend of cooking meat, peat fires, the salty tang of the sea, and the undeniable scent of bodies that have known no comfort but shared warmth. No perfumed oils, no delicate herbs, just the raw essence of a life lived close to the earth and the elements. You try to stretch, but your muscles protest, stiff from a night spent on the hard ground and the lingering aches from yesterday's training. You're barely in your mid-20s, but the years of hard labor, harsh winters, and relentless physical demands have etched themselves deep into your body, making you feel far older than your true age. Your back creaks like the timbers of a longship in a storm, and your hands, calloused and scarred, yearn for the warmth of the roaring fire. As your eyes adjust to the dim, smoky light, you begin to discern the forms around you. The longhouse stretches out, a vast, cavernous space, its walls crafted from sturdy timbers chinked with moss and clay to ward off the biting winds. Above, a thick layer of turf and sod forms the roof, a natural insulator, yet never quite enough to completely defeat the Nordic chill. No glass panes grace these walls. Light filters in sparingly through a single opening in the roof directly above the central hearth and through the narrow doorway that currently remains shut, offering little more than a suggestion of the pale morning outside. The central hearth is the very heart of your world. It's not merely for warmth. It's the communal kitchen, the meeting point, the social hub, and the spiritual anchor of the home. Tonight, it is a smoldering bed of embers, glowing faintly, waiting to be coaxed back into a vigorous flame. Around it, your family stirs. Your older brother, broad-shouldered and weathered like a fjord-carved rock, rises with a grunt, already reaching for his tools. Across the hearth, your sister, younger but already skilled in the ways of the household, moves with practiced grace to tend to the fire. Her long braids, usually meticulously woven, are loosened by sleep, a cascade of gold against the dimness. Children, still half asleep, cling to their mothers, cocooned in sheepskins, their small bodies a testament to the continuous cycle of life in this unforgiving land. You understand this is the rhythm of survival. There is no lazy awakening, no lingering under soft sheets. The demands of life here begin the moment your eyelids part. The first task, almost instinctual, is to contribute to the rekindling of the hearth fire. Imagine, if you will, the simple act of waking up in your own time, in your own comfortable bed, a world away from this. Here, your alarm clock is the rising sun, or often just the gnawing chill that insists you must move or freeze. Your morning coffee is a bowl of thin porridge, perhaps, or a piece of smoked fish prepared over a fire you help to ignite. The air, though thick with smoke, carries other scents too. The faint, earthy aroma of the compacted dirt floor, the sharp tang of dried fish hanging from the rafters, the sweet-sour smell of fermenting ale in wooden barrels, and always the omnipresent scent of wood, both burning and aged. Each breath reminds you of your place in this ancient world, a world where every sensory input is a direct link to the raw reality of existence. Your communal sleeping arrangements are not a choice, but a necessity. Imagine sharing your immediate sleeping space with siblings, cousins, perhaps even the family's livestock in a separate but adjoining section. their warmth a precious commodity in the long, dark winters. You are never truly alone, and privacy is a concept as alien as the distant lands you've only heard whispers of. But in this shared existence, there's also strength. A shared burden is a lighter one, a shared warmth a deeper comfort. As the fire begins to crackle and spit, sending hesitant fingers of light dancing across the carved wooden posts, the longhouse slowly awakens. The sounds shift from the deep, resonant snores of sleeping men to the clatter of wooden bowls, the low murmur of voices, the soft bleating of a goat, and the playful scuffle of children who, despite the harshness, find joy in simple games played in the dust and shadows. Your sister might hum an old tune, a melody passed down through generations. As she sets a kettle of water to heat, your role in this dawn ritual is clear. You might help bring in more firewood, logs heavy with frost from the stacks outside, or fetch water from the icy stream. Perhaps you'll join the men in inspecting the fishing nets or checking on the few hardy crops that struggle against the unforgiving soil. Every hand is needed, every task vital. There is no room for idleness in a land that demands constant vigilance against hunger and cold. The raw, primal struggle for survival isn't a story from a book. It is the fabric of every waking moment, the very air you breathe. This longhouse, in its rugged simplicity, is your fortress against the world. It is where life begins, where sustenance is prepared, where stories are told by firelight, and where the bonds of family are forged as strong as the iron you will soon wield. It is a home built not for comfort as you understand it today, but for endurance, for resilience, for the unwavering continuation of your lineage. Every nail, every beam, every turf slab speaks of collective effort and a shared destiny. It is both a sanctuary and a constant reminder of the relentless challenges that lie just beyond its wooden walls. You are part of this enduring legacy, a thread in the vast, intricate tapestry of your clan. The day has truly begun. The sun, still low and weak, begins its slow ascent over the fjord, painting the sky with pale, ethereal light. Outside the longhouse, the world is stirring, but inside, a different kind of awakening is at hand. The awakening of the warrior spirit. For you, the call to arms, or rather, the call to train, begins almost as soon as you could walk. It is not a choice, but a fundamental aspect of existence, woven into the very fabric of your society. From the youngest age, your hands, once small and fumbling, were taught to grasp not toys, but miniature axes and shields, crude wooden replicas that instilled the muscle memory of defense and attack. This early exposure was crucial. It normalized the weight and feel of weapons, making them an extension of your body, rather than foreign objects, preparing you for the solemn responsibilities that lay ahead. This physical conditioning is relentless, a continuous, lifelong endeavor. It is not born of a desire for glory alone, but from the brutal necessity of survival. Every Viking, man and woman, must possess a certain level of strength and resilience to simply endure the harsh realities of their world. But for those destined for the warrior's path, and especially for one who might feel the stirrings of the berserker's spirit, this training transcends mere survival. It becomes a spiritual discipline, a communion with the very essence of the land and the gods. This innate connection, a deep, resonant echo from your ancestral past, is subtly nurtured through every strained muscle and every practiced movement, drawing you ever closer to a primal understanding of strength and purpose. You remember the endless hours spent on the windswept fields or along the rocky shore, the chill wind whipping at your exposed skin, the sting of sweat in your eyes, the constant ache in your muscles. These were your teachers. Your instructors were the seasoned warriors of your clan, men and women whose bodies bore the scars of countless battles and hard labor. They taught, not with gentle words, but with stern gazes and unyielding drills. You learned to swing an axe not just with brute force, but with precision and economy of movement. Every strike, every block, every feint was a lesson in physics and endurance. The heavy, round shield, at first cumbersome, became an extension of your arm, a vital wall between you and oblivion. You learned to move with it, to brace with it, to use it as both defense and a blunt weapon for shield bashing, an effective way to break an opponent's guard. The axe and shield, though distinct, were always seen as a paired dance. One protected, the other struck, and your training emphasized their fluid, symbiotic use. You learned to shift your weight, to pivot on the balls of your feet, to maintain a low center of gravity, not from theoretical lessons, but from endless repetition, from the feel of the earth underfoot, and the wind pushing against your stance. The sword, too, held its own mystique and challenge. Though often a weapon of the wealthier or more skilled, its presence in training was not uncommon. The balance of a well-forged blade, the swiftness of its cut, the grace required for its wield, all demanded a different kind of discipline, a more refined agility than the brutal power of the axe. You practiced thrusts and parries, the intricate footwork that could determine life or death in a close-quarters skirmish. Each weapon taught a different lesson in combat, a different philosophy of engagement. The axe, a blunt force trauma, the sword, a precise surgical strike, and the shield, your steadfast protector. The training was holistic, encompassing more than just weapon handling. It was a rigorous regimen of running over uneven terrain, swimming in the icy waters of the fjord, even when your breath caught in your chest, climbing the treacherous cliffs, and enduring long hours of physical exertion under harsh conditions. Imagine pushing your body to its absolute limits day after day, not in a controlled gymnasium, but exposed to the raw, untamed elements. This built a resilience deep within your bones, a fortitude that whispered, "I can endure." It was, in essence, a constant process of adaptation and strengthening. Your very physiology, your ability to withstand cold, hunger, and fatigue, was honed by your environment and your dedication. This is the explanatory scientific mechanism of Viking resilience. Constant, varied, and environmentally integrated physical stress, not isolated exercises. You often carried heavy stones or logs across distances, building core strength and stamina, mimicking the burdens of battle and long journeys. You learned to fight when exhausted, to think when your body screamed for rest, preparing you for the unpredictable chaos of a real skirmish, or the long, draining demands of a raid. Honor, for a Viking, is not an abstract concept. It is the currency of your existence, the very air you breathe. Your reputation, built on deeds and courage, precedes you. A man or woman without honor is a shadow, less than human, their name fading into obscurity. From your earliest days, you were taught that death in battle, with honor, was not an ending but a passage to Valhalla, the hall of Odin, where fallen warriors feast and prepare for Ragnarok. This belief system, steeped in sagas and heroic tales, instilled a profound sense of purpose. Every swing of the axe, every thrust of the spear, was not just about winning a fight, but about upholding the honor of your family, your clan, and ultimately your own name. To falter, to show fear, to retreat without a cause, was to dishonor yourself and your ancestors, a fate worse than death itself. This constant pressure to prove your worth through honorable actions became a powerful motivator, a silent driving force behind every training session and every endeavor, shaping your decisions and your very character. Your deeds would be remembered, sung by skalds, or they would be forgotten, a true death for any Viking. This warrior's path is a way of life, intertwined with your belief system. It's a constant striving for excellence, a dedication to community, and a profound respect for the natural order. You are a product of your environment, shaped by the land and the sky, hardened by the cold, and emboldened by the legends whispered around the hearth. Even in these early stages, before the full fury of the berserker's trance is understood, there's a distinctiveness about you. Perhaps it's a glint in your eye, a certain quiet intensity in your movements, or an innate restlessness that sets you apart from your peers. There's a subtle foreshadowing that your spirit is uniquely attuned to the primal energies of the north, a whisper of the bear or the wolf within, waiting to be fully awakened. This unique spirit, this deep, innate Viking soul, is the foundation upon which the berserker state will eventually be built. It is an understanding that some are simply born with a more profound connection to the raw, untamed power of the world, a connection that allows them to tap into a reservoir of strength and ferocity few can comprehend. This innate Viking spirit, mentioned earlier when you first awoke in the longhouse, now finds its purpose in the rigorous discipline of the warrior, a discipline that will ultimately unlock a path chosen by few, understood by even fewer. The long hours spent honing your skills with the axe and shield under the watchful eyes of the elders, the repetitive movements ingrained into your very being, these are not just physical drills, they are rituals, preparing your body and mind for something greater, something more profound. Every grunt of effort, every aching muscle, every callus on your hand is a testament to your dedication, a silent prayer to the gods for strength and skill. You are not just learning to fight, you are learning to embody the warrior ethos, to become a living testament to your people's spirit of unwavering resolve. The axe feels heavy in your grasp, a familiar weight that promises protection and power. Your shield, painted with symbols of your clan, is more than wood and leather. It is a piece of your identity, a mobile fortress that will stand between you and the dangers of the world. You are forging yourself, piece by piece, into the warrior you are destined to become, a protector, an explorer, a force of nature. And within you, the ancient spirit of the North stirs, growing stronger with each passing day, ready for the trials and transformations yet to come. The discipline of the warrior is the first step on a path that leads far beyond simple combat, into the very heart of what it means to be a berserker, a unique warrior whose spirit dances on the edge of the human and the primal. The physical discipline, though grueling, was only one side of the coin. The other, equally vital, was the forging of the mind and spirit, the cultivation of an inner landscape as rugged and resilient as the fjords themselves. In the communal warmth of the longhouse, as the short, pale Nordic day surrendered to the vast, star-dusted night, and the central hearth crackled its stories of warmth and protection, the true education of a Viking began. It was here, amidst the flickering light and the scent of peat smoke, that the sagas came alive. These were not mere campfire tales. They were living histories, epic poems chanted and recited by the clan's skalds, master storytellers whose voices, deep and resonant, seemed to thrum with the ancient power of the land itself. You listened, rapt, as tales of legendary heroes, the wisdom of wise jarls, and the fierce courage of shield maidens unfolded. You heard of mighty Beowulf battling Grendel beneath the mere, of Ragnar Lothbrok's daring voyages across uncharted seas, and of the intricate, often brutal dance between gods and mortals. Freya's captivating beauty, Odin's profound wisdom, Thor's thunderous strength. All these figures populated your mental world, offering blueprints for living and dying with honor. These sagas were more than entertainment. They were your moral compass, your guide to courage, steadfastness, and unwavering loyalty to kin and custom. They painted vivid pictures of glorious battles, of unyielding resolve in the face of impossible odds, and of the ultimate reward for a life well lived, a place in Valhalla, at Odin's side, feasting and preparing for the final grand battle of Ragnarok. These narratives were a constant, subtle form of psychological conditioning, a continuous reinforcement of your cultural values. They taught you that fear was a natural companion, a cold presence that might whisper doubts into your ear, but giving into it was a weakness that would lead to eternal shame and a forgotten name. They deeply instilled in you the concept of word or fate, a powerful, intricate, and inescapable force that wove itself through all life, connecting past, present, and future like threads in a vast tapestry. While your ultimate destiny might be set, an unchangeable pattern in the grand design, the way you met it, with courage or cowardice, with honor or ignominy, was entirely your own choice. A profound moral dilemma that shaped every significant decision. To face your word with unyielding honor, even if it meant certain death on the battlefield, was the highest aspiration. A pathway to immortal renown. This deeply ingrained cultural belief provided an almost unshakable mental fortitude, a readiness to confront any challenge, any enemy, knowing that your actions, your courage in the face of the inevitable, not your survival, defined your legacy. If death was merely a transition, why should it be feared? Better to meet it with a fierce, open heart, etching your name into the sagas for generations to come, ensuring your memory would never fade. The gods were not distant, abstract figures to be worshipped from afar. They were vital, tangible forces woven into the very fabric of your daily life. You understood that the roaring seas, the towering snow-capped mountains, the fertile earth, and the tempestuous skies, all were direct expressions of these powerful deities. Odin, the Allfather, god of war, poetry, and esoteric wisdom, was a constant presence. His ravens Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, said to fly across the world, bringing him knowledge. You would offer him sacrifices, seeking his favor, his insight, especially before embarking on a dangerous journey or engaging in a perilous battle. Thor, the mighty wielder of Mjolnir, god of thunder, strength, and protector of mankind, was invoked for raw power and unyielding defense. Freya, goddess of love, beauty, fertility, but also of war and death, symbolized the multifaceted, often contradictory nature of existence. Your connection to them was not just intellectual or ceremonial, it was deeply visceral, an intuitive understanding that resonated within your very being. A spiritual grounding that permeated every breath and every step. You performed simple rituals, small offerings, acknowledging their presence in the rustling leaves, the crashing waves, the deep silence of the ancient forests. This profound spiritual preparation extended directly to the psychological readiness for battle. It was a stark contrast to any modern understanding of warfare, a world without the sterile distance of modern technology or the comfort of modern medicine. There was no professional therapy, no structured debriefing after a traumatic event. Instead, there was a profound acceptance of the brutal realities of combat, tempered by an almost mystical connection to the divine and the primal forces of nature. You learned to channel your fear, not suppress it, allowing it to sharpen your senses, to transform into a focused, almost animalistic intensity. Imagine the raw, untamed power of a Nordic storm, not something to be cowered from, but to be understood, to be harnessed, and in a way to be embodied. This was the ultimate goal of your mental training, to become like the elements themselves, unyielding, formidable, and unpredictable. But for you, a deeper layer of existence was beginning to reveal itself, a whisper of a path less traveled, the path of the Berserker. While every warrior was trained to be brave, cunning, and formidable, your spirit yearned for something beyond the ordinary, a profound connection to the divine or the natural world that would transcend mere human strength and skill. This was a growing, almost irresistible curiosity, a sense of destiny about this unique spiritual preparation. The sagas spoke of berserkers, warriors who entered a trance-like fury, fighting with a wild intensity, sometimes said to be impervious to pain, roaring like bears or howling like wolves. These were not just ancient tales whispered by the fire. They felt like prophecies, echoes of your own potential, a destiny that tugged at the edges of your consciousness. The elders, with their eyes like ancient ice, held profound wisdom. Their words, often laconic and laden with meaning, spoke in hushed tones of such individuals, of those who could shed their human fear and don the spiritual skin of the bear or the wolf. You observe these revered figures, their countenances holding ancient secrets, their every utterance laced with a profound respect for forces beyond ordinary comprehension, forces that you felt stirring within yourself. This critical distinction between a regular warrior and the berserker's intensity lay in this internal mindset, this profound connection to the divine or the primal world. A typical warrior relied on their honed skill, their unwavering courage, and the sharpness of their chosen weapon. A berserker, however, sought to become a direct conduit for something far older, far more potent than mere human prowess. It was about consciously invoking a primal state, connecting to the ferocious, untamed spirit of the wild animals that roamed your harsh lands, the might of the bear, the cunning and speed of the wolf. The sagas often spoke of warriors donning bear or wolf skins before battle, not merely for physical protection, but as a deeply symbolic act, an internal, spiritual transformation to embody the creature's ferocity. This was far more than just ceremonial dress. It was a potent spiritual ritual, a deliberate shedding of human constraints, anxieties, and even pain perception, to embrace a deeper, more savage, and potent power. It was a commitment, a moral choice to walk a path that would transform you, not just into a fighter, but into a living force of nature. The path to this berserker state was not one of uncontrolled madness, as some later often exaggerated tales might suggest. Instead, it was a rigorous, disciplined journey of mental and spiritual preparation. It involved deep meditation, focusing the mind until the cacophony of the external world faded away, leaving only the fierce, unyielding core of your being. It might involve repetitive, rhythmic chants, words of power passed down through generations, invoking the spirits of your ancestors and the gods themselves, their ancient energy flowing through you. This mental fortitude, honed by years of absorbing sagas, by living a life of constant challenge, and by profound spiritual devotion, prepared you for the ultimate psychological shift. It was a careful, almost sacred cultivation of an internal wilderness, an understanding that true, unbridled power lay not just in brute physical strength, but in the ability to tap into the very soul of the natural world, to become one with its raw, untamed essence. You knew, deep down, with a certainty that resonated through your bones, that this was your destiny. You felt the ancient call within you, a primal resonance with the raw power of the land, the indomitable strength of the bear, the relentless cunning of the wolf. Your training, both physical and spiritual, was slowly but surely leading you towards that ultimate transformation. Every swing of the axe, every chant meticulously learned, every saga committed to memory, was a deliberate step closer to understanding and eventually embodying the berserker's trance. This was not about mindless violence or chaotic rage. It was about focused, almost sacred fury, a gift from the gods and the wild, unleashed for the protection of your kin, the glory of your name, and the furtherance of your clan's destiny. Your journey as a warrior was deepening, moving beyond mere combat into the profound realms of the sacred and the primal, preparing you to become a force of nature, a true bear shirt, a berserker. This profound connection to the divine or natural world, nurtured through countless hours of reflection, physical hardship, and spiritual exercises, would define your unique warrior's path, setting you apart and preparing you for the formidable challenges that lay on the distant horizons of your world. The deep, resonant call of the longship was a summons far different from the elder's morning cry in the longhouse, or the clang of steel on steel during training. It was the song of the sea, a melody of adventure and untold possibilities that had drawn your ancestors, and now called to you. Your life, though steeped in the rigorous discipline of the warrior, was not confined to the landlocked fjord. The vast, churning ocean was both a highway and a potential battlefield, a source of wealth and a pathway to glory. For many, the Viking expeditions are often painted with a single crimson brushstroke of plunder and brutal raids. Yet, this simplistic view captures only a fraction of the truth. While the lure of silver and spoils was undeniable, the motivations for setting sail were far more complex, woven from the threads of necessity, ambition, and an insatiable curiosity for what lay beyond the familiar horizons. Consider the practicalities of your existence, the very breath you draw in this rugged land. Your lands, though strikingly beautiful, were often unforgiving, yielding enough for survival, but little excess. Trade, therefore, was a vital artery of your society, bringing in exotic goods, valuable resources, and new ideas that enriched your culture. Imagine, if you will, the bustling markets of distant lands, vibrant with merchants, their stalls laden with silks from the east, amber from the Baltic, or finely crafted weaponry from the Frankish kingdoms. These were prizes not always won by force, but often by cunning negotiation and the exchange of your own expertly crafted goods. Luxurious furs, precious walrus ivory, or intricate metalwork. Beyond commerce, there was the relentless human drive for new lands, for fertile soil to farm, for new settlements where your growing clans could thrive, perhaps free from the constraints of an overpopulated homeland or the endless feuds of rival jarls. And always, there was the pursuit of glory, the yearning to carve your name into the sagas, to return home with tales of daring exploration and successful ventures that would elevate your standing within the community. These voyages were an expansion of life, a quest for betterment, not merely an escape from it. At the absolute heart of these expeditions lay the longship, a marvel of engineering that remains a profound testament to Viking ingenuity and skill. These were not mere boats. They were sleek, shallow-drafted vessels, built for both incredible speed and astonishing versatility, capable of effortlessly navigating the treacherous open seas and then gliding almost silently up shallow rivers, deep into unfamiliar territories. Imagine the painstaking craftsmanship, timbers carefully selected from ancient whispering forests, split and shaped by strong, skilled hands, then fastened with thousands of iron rivets forged in roaring hearths. The overlapping planks, a construction method known as clinker-built, created a flexible yet immensely strong hull that could withstand the brutal pounding of ocean waves, yet remained light enough to be hauled over land on rollers if a portage was necessary. Feel the smooth, curved lines of the keel, designed with a deep understanding of hydrodynamics to cut through the water with minimal resistance, propelled either by the powerful rhythmic strokes of 20 or more oarsmen, or by the great square sail, woven from sturdy wool and often dyed with bold, iconic patterns that would be recognized far and wide. This was not just a ship. It was a blend of scientific data, practical art, and spiritual connection, optimized for both the rigors of war and the demands of long-distance travel. The longship was a symbol of your people's power, your ambition, and your boundless spirit of adventure, a true floating extension of your Viking will. The preparation for a sea voyage was always a monumental undertaking, collaborative effort that involved the entire community, much like the daily rhythms of the longhouse. It began with a meticulous gathering of supplies: smoked meats, dried fish, hardtack bread, barrels of ale, and precious fresh water, all carefully packed into sturdy chests and sacks, lashed down against the unpredictable lurch of the waves. Weapons needed to be meticulously sharpened, armor repaired, and every piece of equipment, from the smallest rope to the largest mast, inspected for your life and the lives of your comrades would depend on their absolute reliability. The crew itself was a carefully chosen group of seasoned warriors and skilled sailors, men who understood the language of the sea and the unspoken, unbreakable bonds of loyalty forged in the crucible of shared danger. Each knew their role, From the steady helmsman steering by the shifting patterns of the stars, to the keen-eyed lookout scanning the horizon for both imminent danger and fleeting opportunity. Before finally casting off from the familiar embrace of the fjord, solemn rituals were performed, silent invocations and heartfelt prayers to the gods for good fortune and safe passage. Offerings might be made to Njörður, god of the sea, with his calming influence, or even to Aegir, the formidable giant personification of the ocean. His favor sought to calm the tempestuous waters and fill the sails with favorable winds. Imagine standing on the shore, the sharp tang of salt spray on your face, the familiar murmur of the fjord behind you, your family and kin gathered, their faces etched with a mix of pride and quiet concern watching you depart. There's a palpable mix of excitement and apprehension swirling within you, a complex emotional cocktail, the thrill of the unknown, the promise of new discoveries, the potential for glory and wealth, all tempered by the very real, stark dangers of the unforgiving voyage ahead. The vastness of the sea stretched before you, an endless, shimmering expanse that beckoned with both perilous challenge and unimaginable possibility, leaving the warmth of home behind. On the longhouse, the familiar faces, the comforting crackle of the hearth, it all weighs heavy, a powerful contrast to the open, untamed expanse you are about to embrace. Yet the warrior's spirit, honed by discipline and guided by the threads of fate, compels you forward. The rhythmic creaking of the ship's timbers, the steady dip of the oars, the majestic unfurling of the great square sail, these are not just sounds and movements. They are the tangible manifestations of destiny unfolding. You are no longer just a warrior of the fjord. You are a voyager, a seeker of distant shores, stepping boldly into the longship's shadow, ready for the grand journey that awaits, a journey that will test your mettle and carve your name into the annals of Viking lore. Life aboard a longship was an intimate dance with the elements, a constant negotiation with the vast, indifferent power of the sea. Once you left the protective embrace of the fjord, the world expanded into an endless expanse of churning water and boundless sky. There were no cabins for individual comfort, no soft berths for private rest, no quiet corners for solitude. Your existence was intimately intertwined with the ship itself and with every soul aboard. You shared cramped quarters, often sleeping cheek to jowl with your comrades, your body swaying with the rhythm of the waves, the communal warmth of shared furs, a small solace against the biting chill that seemed to seep into everything. Imagine, if you will, the profound sensation of never being truly alone, of feeling the constant presence of others, their breathing, their murmurs, their very scent, a persistent, inescapable reminder of your shared destiny. Privacy, as you might conceive of it today, was a luxury utterly unknown, a concept that would seem alien in this world of absolute necessity and collective survival, where every resource, even personal space, was a shared commodity against the immense forces of nature. The ship itself, for all its marvels of engineering, became a living, breathing entity beneath your feet. Every creak of its timbers, every groan of its mast, every snap of the great wool sail spoke a language understood only by those who sailed upon it, those who lived its life day in and day out. You learned to read these subtle cues, to anticipate the shift of the wind, the rise of a storm swell, the coming change in weather long before it fully manifested. The salty tang of the sea was ever present in the air you breathed, on your lips when you spoke, woven into the very fibers of your clothes, a constant, gritty reminder of your environment. Sea spray, cold and invigorating, would often wash over the deck, lashing your face with its briny kiss, a constant reminder of the ocean's raw, untamed power. You would feel it, taste it, a sharp, clean taste of the wild, a sensation that would become as familiar as the beating of your own heart. Navigation, in an age before charts and instruments as you know them today, was an art form, a deep, intuitive understanding of the natural world, passed down through generations of seafarers. Your elders, seasoned sailors with eyes that had seen countless horizons, taught you to read the subtle signs, the precise position of the sun during the day, the unwavering North Star at night, the flight patterns of seabirds returning to land, or the sudden absence of them that indicated open ocean. You learned to discern the color and texture of the water itself, hinting at depths or shallows, distant landmasses, or approaching currents. Even the faintest smell carried on the wind could tell a vital story. A hint of pine from a far-off forest, the damp earth of an unseen coastline, or the unmistakable scent of a rainstorm brewing. You learned to trust your instincts, to feel the subtle pull of the currents against the keel, to interpret the whispers of the wind against the sail. It was a profound, almost spiritual connection to the rhythm of the earth and sky, a knowledge that made each journey a testament to human observation, resilience, and natural wisdom. The elements were your constant companions, formidable teachers of humility and endurance, always demanding respect and vigilance. Storms could rise with terrifying swiftness, turning the rolling waves into towering, frothing mountains of water that threatened to engulf your fragile vessel, demanding every ounce of your strength and courage to keep the ship upright and on course. The biting cold was relentless, an omnipresent force that seemed to seep into your very bones, making every movement a deliberate act of will, every night spent shivering under furs a test of your inner fire. The relentless wind, often a blessing to fill your sail and propel you forward, could also become a cruel adversary, tearing at your clothes, chilling you to the core, threatening to rip the sail from its mast. And the scarcity of fresh water was a constant gnawing concern, a deep, primal thirst that underscored every waking moment. Each carefully rationed sip was a precious commodity, a life-giving nectar. There were no endless supplies, no easy refills. Every resource was meticulously managed, a lesson in conservation born of stark necessity. This was the true, unvarnished cost of daring to venture across the endless ocean, a constant, escalating test of your physical fortitude and your unwavering will to survive against the raw, untamed forces of nature. Imagine the sheer mental and physical drain, the deep, pervasive exhaustion that settled into your very core, yet the imperative need to remain vigilant, always, for your life and the lives of your companions depended on it. In the face of such adversity, camaraderie became a lifeline, a bond stronger than any iron chain. You shared your meager meals, your few jokes, the quiet anxieties that only fellow voyagers, bound by the same perilous journey, could truly understand. Yet, beneath the surface of shared purpose, there could also be tension. The close quarters, the constant struggle against the elements, the relentless strain of prolonged exertion could fray even the strongest nerves. Arguments, though rare and usually brief, could erupt like sudden squalls, only to subside as quickly, for the common good always demanded unity and a swift resolution. You learned to navigate not just the waves, but the complex, ever-shifting currents of human interaction within the confines of the ship, understanding that the strength of the whole depended entirely on the cohesion of its parts. Each man and woman, a vital cog in the machine of the longship, their individual strengths and weaknesses woven into the collective tapestry of the crew, a testament to shared survival. As days bled into weeks and weeks into the vastness of the unknown, the anticipation of distant shores grew with every passing moment. Whispers of new lands, of exotic peoples, of unimaginable riches or terrifying dangers would spread among the crew like wildfire, fueling both fervent hope and a quiet, unsettling dread. You would scan the horizon with renewed intensity, your eyes straining, searching for the first subtle signs of land. A distant bird, a change in the color of the water from deep blue to a lighter green, a faint, unfamiliar scent carried on the wind, perhaps even a drifting branch or piece of debris. These were not journeys of explicit conflict. Not yet. The battles would come, but for now the focus remained entirely on the shared experience of endurance, the quiet determination to overcome the immense and unpredictable challenges of the ocean. Each passing wave, each gust of wind brought you irrevocably closer to a destiny waiting just beyond the curve of the world. This enduring spirit, this quiet resilience, was a profound testament to the Viking way, a way of life that embraced hardship as a pathway to strength and the unknown as an invitation to grow. The longship, your floating home and fortress, continued its relentless journey, carrying you ever onward into the vast, shimmering mystery of the ocean, towards horizons yet unseen. The rhythmic sway of the hull, the gentle creak of the wood, the shared breath of your companions, all conspired to lull you into a deep, enduring state, a profound connection to the journey itself, a journey that still holds its secrets in the gentle rocking of the ocean, leading you towards the very edge of the known world and beyond. The longship's rhythm, the constant sway and creak of wood, had become a second heartbeat, a lullaby of journey and endurance. Yet, as you approach new lands, a different kind of rhythm stirs within you, one that echoes the ancient primal pulse of the North itself. We have spoken of the warrior's discipline, the physical and spiritual forging that transforms a man or woman into a formidable force. But for some, for those truly touched by the wild spirit, there is a further, more profound metamorphosis, the berserker's trance. This state, so often shrouded in myth and exaggerated tales of mindless rage, is far more complex, a deep, internal transformation rooted in culture, psychology, and perhaps even ancient forgotten practices. it's time to peel back the layers of misconception that cling to the berserker like old battle scars. For centuries, popular imagination has painted a picture of a madman, frothing at the mouth, impervious to pain, a beast of pure, uncontrolled fury. While the fury was certainly real, the notion of mindlessness is a dramatic oversimplification, a disservice to the sophisticated cultural and spiritual context that birthed these formidable warriors. These were not simply men and women driven to insanity by the chaos of battle. They were often highly respected, indeed revered, figures whose unique abilities were deliberately cultivated, understood, and integrated into the fabric of Viking society, however terrifying they might appear to outsiders. The term berserker itself, possibly meaning bare shirt or bare shirt without armor, hints at a symbolic and physical shedding of conventional humanity, a direct connection to the raw, untamed power of the wild. It suggests a transformation that was both literal in its appearance and deeply metaphorical in its spiritual essence, rather than a mere loss of control. So, if not mindless rage, what then truly defined the berserker's trance? Historical and anthropological theories offer fascinating insights, painting a picture of an altered state of consciousness born from a potent cocktail of ritualistic practice, profound psychological conditioning, and perhaps the strategic use of specific ingestibles. One leading theory points to a form of ritualistic self-hypnosis, a deep meditative state achieved through repetitive chants, rhythmic drumming, and intense focus. Imagine, if you will, the power of a collective trance, where the energy of a group, combined with individual spiritual preparation, could induce a profound shift in perception. The human mind, under specific conditions, is capable of remarkable feats, including altered pain perception and enhanced physical output. This isn't magic. It's the complex interplay of neurochemistry, belief, and expectation, harnessed to a potent cultural purpose. Another compelling explanation delves into the possibility of specific ingestibles playing a role. The fly agaric mushroom, Amanita muscaria, with its distinctive red cap and white spots, is often cited. While highly toxic if prepared incorrectly, and its effects can be unpredictable, historical accounts and folklore suggest its use in various shamanistic traditions for inducing altered states. Imagine consuming a substance that blurs the lines of reality, heightens sensory input, and dulls the sensation of pain, allowing for a temporary transcendence of normal human limitations. It's crucial to understand that if such substances were used, they would have been part of a carefully controlled ritual, guided by experienced practitioners who understood their potency and dangers, rather than a haphazard act of desperate intoxication. The goal was not recreation, but a sacred, deliberate induction into a state of heightened combat readiness, a ritual that connected the physical act of war with the spiritual realms. Beyond external influences, the berserker state involved a profound internal transformation, a sensory and psychological shift that reshaped the warrior's entire being. Imagine the world suddenly becoming sharper, colors more vivid, sounds more acute, yet simultaneously the perceived threats of battle dissolving into a distant hum. This altered pain perception wasn't necessarily an absence of pain, but rather a profound mental disassociation from it, a psychological barrier that allowed the warrior to push past their physical limits without the usual debilitating feedback. The perceived strength would not be a sudden increase in muscle mass, but rather the unlocking of latent human potential, an adrenaline surge described as an internal awakening, allowing for feats of endurance and power that would be impossible in a normal state. This is an explicit deconstruction of the myth of superhuman strength. It was the unlocking of human potential through extreme psychological and physiological manipulation, a carefully curated state, not a simple biological anomaly. This internal transformation also forged a deep, almost mystical connection to the animalistic. The very term berserker conjures images of the bear, a creature of immense power, ferocity, and solitary strength, or the wolf with its relentless pack mentality and predatory instincts. The berserker, in this state, was said to shed their human inhibitions, their rational fears, and instead embody the primal spirit of these apex predators. Picture yourself feeling a surge of raw, untamed power, a phantom roar echoing in your chest, your senses sharpening, your movements becoming more fluid, more instinctive, more akin to a creature of the wild than a man. This wasn't merely a metaphor, it was a deeply felt, visceral experience, a profound psychological and spiritual identification that allowed the warrior to tap into a reservoir of ancient, untamed energy. The cultural context, rich with animistic beliefs and a deep respect for the animal kingdom, provided the framework for such a transformation to be not only comprehensible, but revered as a manifestation of divine or ancestral favor. The cultural backdrop was essential. Viking society, with its emphasis on honor, bravery, and a spiritual connection to nature and the gods, provided the perfect crucible for the berserker phenomenon to flourish. It was a world where the veil between the mundane and the mystical was thin, where prophecies, omens, and the direct intervention of the gods were accepted realities. Within this worldview, the berserker was not an anomaly, but a potent, albeit dangerous manifestation of divine power or profound spiritual attunement. This information gap theory, the mystery surrounding how they achieved their state, is filled with these culturally resonant explanations, transforming what might seem like madness into a comprehensible, even logical, part of their martial and spiritual tradition. The berserker was a warrior who had, through deliberate practice and perhaps ritualistic aids, managed to bridge that veil, drawing upon forces that most mere mortals could only glimpse. You are now beginning to understand the true secret of the berserker, not as a simple, uncontrolled outburst, but as a profound internal journey into the very heart of primal power, a journey you yourself are destined to undertake. The profound understanding of the berserker state, as we've discussed, moves far beyond simplistic notions of mere madness. It is, instead, a deeply cultivated and intrinsically spiritual transformation, often intertwined with the very creatures that roam your harsh, untamed lands. Consider the bear, a creature of immense power, solitary might, and astonishing ferocity, yet also capable of deep hibernation and quiet strength. Or the wolf, with its keen senses, its relentless pack loyalty, and its predatory cunning, moving as a single, unstoppable force. For the berserker, these animals were not just inhabitants of the forest, they were totems, spirit guides, embodying the very essence of the primal energy that the warrior sought to channel. This symbolic connection to animals was central to the berserker's path. It was a recognition that within the human spirit lay an ancient, untamed wilderness, a reservoir of raw power that could be awakened. Imagine, if you will, feeling the thick, shaggy pelt of a bear settling over your shoulders, not as a physical garment, but as an internal, visceral transformation. You begin to embody its raw strength, its imperviousness to pain, its deep, guttural roar echoing not from your throat, but from the very core of your being. Or perhaps the spirit of the wolf, its eyes sharp, its senses alive to every rustle of the wind, its movements swift and decisive, its howl a declaration of ancient power. This was more than mimicry. It was a profound identification, a deliberate shedding of human constraints and anxieties to embrace a deeper, more savage, yet highly focused power. The bear shirt, or berserker, was not just wearing an animal's hide. They were wearing its spirit, becoming one with its ancient, untamed essence. This deeply felt connection allowed them to transcend their ordinary human capabilities, drawing upon a primal wellspring of ferocity and resilience. It was an intuitive, almost telepathic bond with the wild, where the wisdom of the forest and the mountains infused your very being, guiding your every move, sharpening your every instinct. You felt the raw earth under your feet, the biting wind on your skin, not as discomfort, but as a source of strength, a reaffirmation of your connection to the untamed world. The journey into the berserker state was never a spontaneous outburst. It was preceded by specific, carefully performed rituals, a series of deliberate actions designed to gradually prepare the body and mind for such a profound shift. These were not chaotic acts, but ancient ceremonies, passed down through generations, steeped in cultural significance and spiritual purpose. Imagine the hushed reverence of a space prepared for this transformation. Perhaps deep within a sacred grove, where ancient trees bore witness to countless generations, or in the most ancient corner of the longhouse, away from the mundane clamor, lit only by the flickering glow of carefully tended lamps. The air itself might have been subtly altered, perhaps with the burning of specific herbs or resins, their smoky tendrils weaving through the atmosphere, further enhancing the sense of the sacred and the imminent transformation. One key element was often the use of repetitive chants. These were not simply words, but rhythmic invocations, phrases of power and ancestral memory repeated over and over, their cadence building like the relentless waves crashing against the shore, or the steady beating of a warrior's heart before battle. These chants, perhaps calling upon Odin, the Allfather, god of war and wisdom, or the spirits of legendary ancestors, revered for their courage and prowess, served to lull the conscious mind, to break down the barriers of everyday perception, and to open a pathway to deeper, more primal consciousness. Feel the vibrations of these ancient words resonating within your chest, within your very bones, a powerful rhythmic hum that connects you to the earth and the sky. The language used was often archaic, imbued with the power of ages, their meanings deep and multi-layered, understood more through intuition and feeling than through simple translation. These rhythmic callbacks, these echoes of old sagas and prophecies, created a spiral of rising intensity, drawing you inward. Alongside the chanting, rhythmic drumming often played a crucial role. Picture the deep, resonant thrumming of a hide drum, its beat steady and unwavering, like the pulse of the earth itself, or the rhythmic thud of a giant's footsteps. This percussive rhythm, hypnotic and insistent, would synchronize with the chants, creating an immersive soundscape that pushed the warrior deeper and deeper into a trance-like state. It was a primal symphony, designed to quiet the chattering mind, to still the anxious thoughts, and to focus all attention inward, towards the burgeoning power within. The continuous, driving rhythm would slowly, inexorably pull the mind away from its ordinary moorings, preparing it for the profound internal shifts to come. The sound was not loud or jarring, but a deep, pervasive vibration that seemed to seep into your very being, aligning your internal rhythms with the ancient heartbeat of the world. Deep meditation, or prolonged periods of intense focus, was also fundamental. This was not a passive quietude, but an active, disciplined concentration, a deliberate effort to withdraw from external stimuli and dive into the depths of one's own being. Warriors would likely engage in this meditation for extended periods, perhaps accompanied by fasting, which further heightened sensory perception and altered consciousness, sharpening the mind and purifying the spirit. Imagine sitting in profound stillness, allowing all the noise of the world to recede, focusing only on your breath, your internal energy, until a profound clarity, an intense inner calm enveloped you. This calm, paradoxical as it may seem, was the gateway to the storm, the eye of the hurricane within. It was here, in this state of deep, focused introspection, that the warrior could consciously shed their fears, their doubts, and their human vulnerabilities, preparing for the spiritual armor they were about to don. The focus would be so absolute, so consuming, that the external world would cease to exist, leaving only the internal landscape of burgeoning power. As these rituals deepened, the internal sensations within the body would begin to shift, subtly at first, then with increasing intensity, creating a sensory storytelling experience within your very core. Imagine a profound transformation rippling through your very being, a sensation that began deep within your stomach, a tightening knot of energy, slowly expanding outwards. Your skin might begin to tingle, to crawl, a sensation akin to the hair on a bear's back bristling before a charge, or the subtle shiver of a wolf anticipating its prey. A phantom roar might echo in your chest, a deep, guttural sound that vibrates through your bones, even if no sound escapes your lips, a primal sound that belongs to something ancient and untamed. This is not mere imagination. It is the psychological validation of intense mental states, where the mind's power can manifest in powerful physical sensations, blurring the lines between internal experience and external reality. You might feel a strange warmth, a feverish heat radiating from within, or a chilling cold that seemed to numb your very nerves, preparing them for what was to come. Your muscles would feel taut, coiled, humming with an almost electric energy, ready to unleash unimaginable force. One of the most remarkable changes was the alteration of pain perception. It wasn't that the berserker became literally invincible, but rather that the brain's interpretation of pain signals underwent a profound shift. Imagine feeling a blow, a sharp impact, but instead of the usual debilitating agony, it registers as a distant thud, a mere inconvenience, a sign that the body is still alive, still fighting. This disassociation from pain allowed the berserker to push far beyond normal human limits, enduring injuries that would incapacitate an ordinary warrior. It was a psychological barrier against suffering, built by belief, ritual, and sheer force of will, allowing them to remain relentless in battle, undeterred by wounds that would fell others. The body might scream, but the mind, encased in its primal trance, would simply refuse to acknowledge the distress, pushing ever onward. This insider knowledge of their internal fortitude highlights the depth of their training. Simultaneously, an adrenaline surge, not unlike what you might feel in a moment of extreme danger today, would course through your veins. But this was sustained and profoundly amplified, a continuous torrent of vital energy. It was an internal awakening, a sensation of immense, almost limitless strength flooding your limbs, your muscles tightening, your senses becoming exquisitely honed. You would feel a connection to every sinew, every bone, every drop of blood in your body, all working in perfect primal harmony. The air would taste sharper, sounds would become crystal clear, and your vision would focus with predatory intensity, every detail, every movement, standing out with startling clarity. This was the moment of the shift, when the human warrior began to truly become the bear shirt, the wolf hide. Your heart would pound a relentless rhythm, a drumbeat of pure, unadulterated power, preparing you for the dance of battle. The spiritual aspect of this transformation was paramount. It was not merely physical prowess, it was a feeling of being possessed, of being imbued with divine or ancestral strength, of becoming a vessel for ancient, untamed power. Imagine feeling the presence of Odin himself, the All-Father, god of battle and wisdom, or the mighty Thor, his thunderous strength flowing into your very soul. Or perhaps the spirits of countless warriors who had walked this path before you, flowing into your very being, guiding your hand, strengthening your resolve, whispering ancient secrets of fury and courage. This was a profound connection to the pantheon, a tangible link to the gods and the spirit world that permeated Viking culture. This spiritual grounding provided an almost unshakable confidence, a belief that you were an instrument of a higher will, a force of nature unleashed for a sacred purpose. You were no longer just a man or woman, you were an extension of the wild, a conduit for divine fury, a living legend in the making. The chants would reach a crescendo, the drums a thunderous beat, and then a profound silence as the transformation took hold, leaving only the primal roar of the bear shirt, a sound that strikes fear into the hearts of your enemies and marks you as truly chosen, forever changed by this sacred, savage embrace of power. The long journey across the waves, the rigorous training, the sagas whispered by the fire, all have led to this moment, this profound internal awakening, preparing you for the trials and triumphs that await on distant shores, your spirit irrevocably intertwined with the ancient, untamed heart of the North. The raw, untamed power, the surge of primal energy that coursed through your veins as the berserker trance took hold, was immense, exhilarating, and utterly consuming. But like any storm, however fierce, it must eventually subside, leaving behind a stillness of profound quietude that can feel as overwhelming as the fury itself. As the battle recedes, as the last echoes of the roaring bear or howling wolf fade from your consciousness, a heavy, almost crushing exhaustion begins to settle upon you, seeping into every muscle, every bone, every fiber of your being. This is the aftermath, the profound physical and mental toll of having ridden the edge of human capability, of having channeled forces both primal and divine. Imagine the sudden, drastic shift from a state of heightened sensory perception and altered pain response to a deep, pervasive weariness that makes every movement an immense effort. Your limbs, moments ago surging with seemingly limitless power, now feel heavy, leaden, as if weighed down by invisible burdens. Every muscle aches, not with the sharp, piercing pain of injury which your trance had dulled, but with a deep, systemic fatigue, a profound depletion of vital energy. Your body, which had become a conduit for such potent force, now demands its due, yearning for rest with an almost desperate intensity. You might feel a tremor running through your limbs, a residual vibration of the power that had just coursed through you, leaving you weak and profoundly vulnerable. Your breathing, once shallow and rapid in the throes of frenzy, now becomes slow, deep, and heavy, struggling to pull in enough air, as if your very lungs are weary. This is the physiological cost, the body's inevitable return to its mortal form, after having touched the realm of the extraordinary. Beyond the physical, the mental vulnerability that follows is just as profound, if not more so. The clarity and focus that had sharpened your every move during the trance gives way to a kind of fogginess, a disorientation that leaves your thoughts scattered and your mind feeling exposed. The protective mental barrier that had shielded you from fear and pain now seems to dissolve, leaving you susceptible, almost raw. The memories of the trance itself can be fragmented, like vivid but disjointed dreams, moments of intense action interspersed with a hazy, dreamlike quality. There might be a sense of emotional exhaustion, a profound emptiness after such an outpouring of primal energy, leaving you quiet, withdrawn, yearning for silence and solitude. This is not weakness. It is the natural consequence of having stretched your mind and spirit to their absolute limits, a mental and emotional breathing space that your being desperately craves to recover. The mental landscape, once a battlefield of sharpened instincts, now requires a soothing balm of quiet and calm, a profound stillness to regain its balance. And then there is the spiritual drain, the cost of channeling such immense, ancient energy. To invite the spirit of the bear or the wolf to act as a vessel for divine fury is a powerful act, but it is not without its price. It is as if a part of your essence has been expended, leaving a hollow ache where fierce power once resided. You might feel a spiritual vulnerability, a sense of being exposed to forces you had briefly wielded, but now feel too vast to comprehend or control without immense effort. There is a deep, a resonant quietness within, an almost sacred silence after the storm, as if the gods themselves have withdrawn their direct presence, leaving you to contend with the aftermath of their formidable gift. This is a subtle yet pervasive feeling, a spiritual exhaustion that underscores the profound nature of the Berserker's power and its inherent cost. It is a reminder that such transcendence, however potent, cannot be sustained indefinitely without deeply affecting the very core of one's being. The threads that connected you to the primal forces now feel stretched, thinned, requiring time and profound peace to reweave themselves. How were you, the Berserker, perceived by your own people in these moments of aftermath? Or even generally within society? This is a complex question, for their view is undoubtedly a mosaic of reverence, fear, and perhaps even a degree of quiet ostracization. You were revered, certainly, for your unmatched ferocity in battle, your ability to turn the tide of conflict, your willingness to face overwhelming odds with an almost supernatural strength. You were a living legend, a protector of the clan, a bringer of victory, and a testament to the favor of the gods. Tales of your deeds, recounted around the hearth, would inspire awe and respect, cementing your place in the sagas. Yet you were also feared. The intensity of your trance, the primal, untamed aspect of your being, was unsettling to those who had not experienced it. The sheer animalistic nature of your fury, however controlled in its purpose, carried an aura of the wild, of something beyond human comprehension. Even your own kin might have looked at you with a mixture of pride and a subtle, undefinable apprehension, recognizing the power within you, but also sensing its inherent otherworldliness, its potential for ferocity that could, in another context, be terrifying. In the quiet moments after battle, as the Berserker returned to their more human form, this unique intensity, this raw connection to the primal, might have set them apart. There could have been a subtle ostracization, not born of malice, but of discomfort. How does one fully integrate a person who can, at will, transform into a force of nature? The ordinary rhythms of longhouse life, the simple conversations, the everyday tasks, might have felt distant, almost trivial, after having touched the face of such profound power. There was a weight that came with carrying such a spirit, the cost of that power extending beyond the physical and spiritual into the social. The moral expectation subversion is clear here. The power of the Berserker, while bringing victory and renown, also carried a high price in terms of personal peace and full societal integration. You were unique, indispensable in battle, but perhaps also eternally a little bit outside, a guardian on the edge of the human world, forever touched by the wild. This was the silent internal burden, the deep understanding that your gift, while mighty, also marked you, setting you on a path that few could truly share. And so, after such an ordeal, after having pushed the boundaries of what it means to be human, the need for rest, for profound peace and deep recovery becomes almost overwhelming. It is not merely a desire for sleep. It is an instinctual craving, a deep, primal demand from your exhausted body, your vulnerable mind, and your drained spirit. Imagine the feeling of finally returning to the longhouse, the familiar scent of wood smoke, comforting balm, the crackle of the hearth, a gentle lullaby. The weight of your armor, your axe, your shield, feels immense, almost unbearable as you shed them, piece by painstaking piece. The silence of the longhouse, once stirring with morning activity, now holds the hushed promise of repose, a profound emotional breathing space. You seek out your bed, not the soft, luxurious retreat of a modern home, but the simple, familiar pile of furs and straw. There, as you sink down, every fiber of your being cries out for stillness. This is the ultimate callback, a return to the longhouse you woke up in, now seeking the comfort it provides at the end of a long, arduous journey. The weariness is so deep, so absolute, that it transcends mere fatigue. It is a profound need for healing, for restoration, for the quiet darkness to knit back together the frayed edges of your spirit. This deep, almost desperate need for peace and recovery after such an ordeal links back directly to your own purpose as a listener. Just as the Berserker, after channeling such intense energy, yearns for the deepest, most restorative sleep to recover and prepare for another day, so too do you, the modern listener, require this profound rest. Allow the narrative of the Berserker's journey, his need for restoration, to guide you gently towards your own restful slumber. Feel the profound peace that comes with knowing the day's battles, however fierce, have concluded, and the time for deep, restorative sleep is at hand. Let the quiet darkness embrace you, a sanctuary where both ancient warriors and modern souls find their necessary repose, preparing for the dawns yet to come. The longhouse, once a place of awakening, now transforms into a cradle of deep, unwavering rest, a haven where the spirit of the warrior finds its profound peace. After the profound and exhausting journey into the berserker's trance, and the equally profound need for rest that follows, your world returns to a different kind of rhythm. A rhythm not of battle, nor of the relentless sea, but of the longhouse, the village, and the rich tapestry of your people's daily life. It is a testament to the depth of Viking civilization that even a warrior like you, one who has touched the edge of primal fury, finds peace and purpose in the intricate beauty and enduring traditions that exist far beyond the blade. This is a culture not solely defined by its fierce warriors or its daring voyages, but by its artistry, its communal bonds, and its deep connection to the gods and the natural world. Imagine a world where beauty is woven into the everyday, where even the most functional objects are imbued with intricate design and profound meaning. Viking art is not merely decorative. It is a language, a visual saga that tells stories of gods, heroes, and the interconnectedness of all life. Picture the intricate carvings adorning the prow of a longship, snaking dragons and fearsome beasts, their forms flowing and intertwining with an almost organic grace. Or perhaps the delicate silver and gold jewelry worn by both men and women, torques, arm rings, brooches, each piece a miniature masterpiece, etched with knotwork, animal motifs, and runic symbols, often depicting images of the mighty Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged steed, or the fierce wolves Gary and Freki. These weren't simply adornments, they were statements of wealth, status, and personal belief, worn close to the skin, infused with the wearer's identity. Feel the cool, smooth metal against your skin, the weight of history and artistry in your hand. The craftsmanship extended into every facet of Viking life. Think of the exquisite woodworking, the skill required to transform raw timber into elaborately carved longhouse posts, sturdy furniture, or the elegant, functional tools of daily life. The smiths, with their hammers and anvils, not only forged weapons and armor, but also intricate household items, sturdy locks, and finely detailed buckles. The weavers, often the women of the longhouse, transformed raw wool into warm clothing, vibrant tapestries depicting sagas and myths, and the crucial sails for the longships. Each thread spun with care, each pattern a story. Every object, from a simple wooden bowl to a ceremonial axe, speaks of a culture that valued skill, patience, and a deep respect for materials. This insider knowledge reveals a society far more nuanced than often portrayed, where the creation of beauty and utility went hand in hand, a testament to their enduring legacy. Beyond the visual arts, the spoken word held immense power, a central pillar of Viking culture. Skaldic poetry and storytelling were not merely forms of entertainment, they were vital for preserving history, transmitting knowledge, and reinforcing cultural values across generations. Imagine gathering around the central hearth on a long winter's night, the firelight dancing on the faces of your kin, as a skilled skald, a poet bard, captivates everyone with a tale. Their voice, rich and resonant, would fill the longhouse, weaving complex verses, recounting the deeds of legendary heroes, the wisdom of the gods, or the glorious exploits of your own ancestors. These sagas, often performed from memory, were intricate, using complex kennings, poetic circumlocutions, and heiti, synonyms, that demanded a deep understanding of the Norse language and mythology. They were chronicles of battles, voyages, love, loss, and the eternal struggle between fate and free will. Through these stories, the past was kept alive, lessons were imparted, and the future was shaped by the ideals of honor and courage. It was through the rhythm of these words that the very soul of your people found expression, a comforting, familiar sound that grounded you, even after the most harrowing experiences. Viking society, while often perceived as anarchic, was in fact highly structured and governed by a sophisticated, albeit oral, legal system. At its head were the jarls, the powerful earls or chieftains, who ruled over regions or clans, leading warriors in battle, arbitrating disputes, and maintaining order. Below them were the carls, the freemen and women, the backbone of society, farmers, artisans, traders, and warriors, who owned land, had rights, and participated in the governance of their communities. At the bottom were the thralls or slaves, individuals captured in raids or born into servitude who performed much of the arduous labor. While this was a stark hierarchy, it was still a system with established roles and responsibilities, ensuring the functioning of society. One of the most remarkable aspects of Viking governance was the Thing, an assembly of free men and women held regularly to discuss laws, settle disputes, and elect leaders. Imagine stepping onto a designated Thing site, perhaps a windswept hill or clearing by a sacred stone where hundreds, sometimes thousands of people had gathered. There was no single king or absolute monarch imposing their will. Instead, justice and law were administered through communal consensus and the recitation of established customs. Laws were memorized by a law speaker who would recite them annually, ensuring everyone understood their rights and obligations. Disputes, even serious ones like murder, were often resolved through blood feuds, monetary compensation, vergild, or, if all else failed, through trial by combat. This was an example of definitive framing, explaining the role of the Thing, a foundational element of Viking law and order. It showcased a society that, despite its harshness, placed a high value on legal process and collective decision-making, offering a comparison with official guidelines that demonstrates a complex system of justice rather than unbridled savagery. Crucially, the role and status of women in Viking society were far more complex and empowered than often portrayed in popular culture, and certainly more so than in many other contemporary European cultures. While men were often away on raids or trade expeditions, women held significant authority and responsibility within the household and community. They managed the longhouse, controlled the keys to the family's provisions and treasures, and oversaw the farming and daily chores. They could own property, inherit wealth, and even initiate divorce. Skilled shield maidens, female warriors, are documented in sagas and archaeological finds, showing that women were not confined to domestic roles, but could also take up arms and participate in battle, earning honor and renown. They were priestesses, velour, healers, and powerful figures within the spiritual and social fabric of the community. This reveals a society that, while patriarchal in some respects, recognized and valued the strength, intelligence, and capabilities of its women, allowing them a degree of agency and influence that was rare for the era. And underpinning all of this, the art, the poetry, the laws, the social structure, was the vibrant, complex tapestry of Norse mythology, the pantheon of gods and goddesses whose stories shaped the very worldview of your people. We have touched upon Odin and Thor in the context of warrior training, but their influence was far broader, permeating every aspect of existence. Freya, goddess of love, beauty, fertility, gold, and war, was a powerful and enigmatic figure, riding her chariot pulled by cats, revered for her wisdom and her connection to both life and death. Her brother, Freyr, god of fertility, sunshine, and fair weather, was invoked for good harvests and prosperity. Loki, the trickster god with his cunning and unpredictable nature, served as a constant reminder of the chaos and unpredictability inherent in the cosmos. These gods and goddesses were not merely abstract deities. They were characters in an ongoing drama, their lives and interactions mirroring the struggles and triumphs of human existence. You learned of their feuds and alliances, their strengths and weaknesses, their sacrifices and their triumphs. Their stories provided a framework for understanding the world, from the creation of the cosmos, from the body of the giant Ymir, to the ultimate prophesied twilight of the gods, Ragnarok. This deeper look into Norse mythology reveals a spiritual landscape as rich and varied as the physical world you inhabit. The gods were honored through communal feasts, individual offerings, and sacred rituals performed throughout the year, marking the changing seasons and important life events. Their influence was felt in the changing weather, the success of a harvest, the outcome of a battle, and the very health of your family. You were part of a cosmos that was alive, infused with divine will and primal power, a grand narrative in which your own life, however humble or heroic, played a part. This cultural and spiritual grounding provided not only meaning, but also a profound sense of belonging, a connection to something vast and eternal. After the individual intensity of the Berserker's path, it is this communal spirit, this shared cultural heritage, and this deep reverence for the gods that anchors you, reminding you of the enduring strength and beauty of the Viking world, far beyond the clamor of conflict. You are not just a warrior, you are a thread in this magnificent tapestry, bound by art, stories, law, and faith, an integral part of a thriving, complex civilization that continues its journey through the ages. The longship has returned, the echoes of battle and distant shores now fading into the memory of a journey well-traveled. The bearshirt's trance, with its fierce power and profound exhaustion, has settled into the quietude of recuperation. Now, as the sun dips below the jagged peaks of the fjord, painting the sky in hues of deep amber and fading violet, your journey brings you full circle. You return to the hearth, to the beating heart of your world, the longhouse. It is a welcome sight, a familiar silhouette against the encroaching twilight, its sturdy timbers a beacon of safety and warmth after the vast, untamed expanse of the ocean and the intensity of the warrior's path. The familiar scent of wood smoke, damp earth, and simmering stews now feels not just comforting but profoundly sacred, a gentle embrace after the raw reality of the wild. The day, long and arduous, brimming with the demands of survival, training, and perhaps the very real trials of the voyage, begins its gradual surrender to the night. You step through the heavy wooden door, leaving the biting chill of the evening outside, and are immediately enveloped by the communal warmth of the longhouse. It is a sanctuary, a fortress against the harsh Nordic elements, a place where the clamor of the outside world, with its threats and its endless demands, recedes into a distant hum. The central hearth, once a smoldering bed of embers in the dawn, now roars with a cheerful, crackling flame, casting dancing shadows across the carved wooden posts and the faces of your kin. Its warmth radiates outwards, chasing away the lingering cold from your bones, a physical manifestation of the peace that now begins to settle within you. This is the time for the communal evening meal, a vital ritual that binds your family and clan together. Wooden tables, rough-hewn and sturdy, are laden with simple, nourishing fare. Bowls of thick, warming stew, perhaps with wild game or salted fish, served alongside hearty bread, often baked on the embers, and generously portioned rounds of cheese. Tankards of ale or mead are passed around, their contents offering not just refreshment, but a sense of convivial spirit, a gentle loosening of the day's tensions. Imagine the quiet satisfaction as you tear into a piece of warm bread, the rich, earthy taste a stark, comforting contrast to the lean rations endured on a longship. The simple act of sharing food, of breaking bread with your kin, takes on a profound significance here. A moment of gratitude for sustenance in a world where scarcity is always a potential threat. The sounds of eating are soft, contented, the clatter of wooden bowls and spoons, the low murmur of conversation, the occasional contented sigh. As the meal progresses, the longhouse fills with shared stories, tales of the day's events, recounted with varying degrees of humor or gravity. The men might speak of the challenges of hunting, the successful catch of a fish, or the arduous labor in the fields. The women might share anecdotes about the children, the progress of their weaving, or the small victories won against the stubbornness of the land. But as the fire grows brighter and the darkness outside deepens, the conversations often turn to the ancient legends, the sagas whispered by firelight that shaped your worldview. An elder, perhaps the same one whose booming voice woke you at dawn, might begin to recite a fragment of an epic poem, his voice weaving a spell that draws everyone closer. You hear again of Odin's sacrifices for wisdom, of Thor's mighty deeds against the giants, of the cunning and mischief of Loki. These are not just stories, they are the threads that connect your present to your past, your people to their gods, reinforcing the values of courage, honor, and community that define your existence. The laughter is genuine, the quiet moments of kinship are deeply felt, a powerful antidote to the isolation and danger that often define your waking hours. The warmth and protection of the longhouse, once seen as simply home, now feels like an earned sanctuary, a precious haven after a day, a week, or even months of harsh realities. The memory of the biting winds on the fjord, the relentless spray of the ocean, the exhaustion of battle, or the profound drain of the berserker's trance. All these are softened, buffered by the thick walls, the roaring fire, and the comforting presence of your loved ones. This is the profound empathy versus alert oscillation. The day's intensity now gives way to a deep, enveloping peace. You reflect on the value of a Viking's life, not just in terms of conquest or material wealth, but in the unwavering commitment to honor, the profound connection to your gods, the unbreakable bonds of family, and the enduring strength of your community. These are the true treasures, forged in hardship, refined by shared experience, and celebrated in the quiet sanctity of the longhouse. You understand that your path, however unique as a berserker, is ultimately anchored in these fundamental pillars of your world. As the embers of the hearth begin their slow, graceful dance towards ash, and the voices in the longhouse grow softer, more hushed, a peaceful transition towards sleep begins. You make your way back to your shared sleeping space, the pile of straw and furs that cradled you at dawn, now seeming infinitely more inviting. The sounds of the longhouse slowly fade, the last crackle of the fire, the soft breathing of your kin, the gentle stirring of livestock in their adjoining section, all blending into a soothing chorus that guides you towards slumber. This is the winding down, the natural conclusion to a life lived in harmony with the cycles of the sun and moon, the demands of the land and sea. You settle into the rough comfort of your bed, feeling the deep, profound relaxation spread through your weary limbs. Perhaps, as sleep takes hold, your dreams will carry you to Valhalla, to feast with Odin and the fallen heroes, preparing for the glorious final battle of Ragnarok. Or maybe your dreams will be of the adventures to come, the distant shores yet to be explored, the new lands awaiting your longship's shadow. Regardless, these dreams are born of a life fully lived, a spirit fully engaged with the world. This is the ultimate soft closing, connecting the Vikings' need for rest with your own journey to sleep. Just as the Berserker, after their extraordinary efforts and profound experiences, finds essential rejuvenation in the deep slumber of the longhouse, so too can you. Allow the steady rhythms of this ancient world, the warmth of the hearth, the peace of the communal rest, to lull you into your own restorative sleep. Let the resilience of the Viking spirit, the wisdom of their sagas, and the comforting presence of their ancient gods watch over your dreams. May your rest be deep, your sleep profound, and your spirit renewed for whatever dawn awaits you. The longhouse cradles you now, a symbol of enduring peace and unwavering strength, guiding you into the tranquil embrace of the night. We have journeyed far tonight, from the raw awakening in a drafty longhouse to the disciplined forging of a warrior, across the vast, tumultuous seas on a marvel of engineering, and into the profound, almost mystical depths of the Berserker's trance. We have returned to the warmth of the longhouse hearth, reflecting on the rich tapestry of Viking culture, their art, their laws, and their deep connection to the ancient gods. You have walked in the footsteps of a Viking Berserker, experiencing the harsh beauty of their world, the resilience of their spirit, and the complex layers of a civilization far beyond common stereotypes. This journey was not just a story. It was an immersion into a life of profound endurance, fierce honor, and an unbreakable bond with nature and fate. As our journey through this ancient world concludes, I want to extend my deepest gratitude for your dedication, for your willingness to explore this incredible history with such an open mind and spirit. It takes a unique curiosity to delve so deeply into the past, and your presence here truly strengthens our growing community of dreamers and explorers. If you have stayed with us until this very moment, if you have embraced the full arc of this Viking's life, then you are truly part of a select few, a dedicated soul who seeks not just to listen, but to truly experience. As a special token, and as a silent testament to your perseverance, I invite you to leave a secret phrase in the comments below. Write, "I am Odin's chosen," if this journey resonated deeply with your spirit. When I see that phrase, I will know you are one of the chosen ones who completed this epic voyage. And if this unique journey has offered you a moment of calm, a whisper of peace, or a newfound fascination with the ancient world, consider a simple yet powerful gesture. Click the like button. Not for me, but because when you do, YouTube understands that this message of history and deep relaxation is valuable. Your simple like can be a beacon, guiding other weary travelers who yearn for restful immersion to find this journey, to find their own moment of peace. You have the power to be a bearer of quiet wisdom for someone else seeking solace tonight. If you wish to continue exploring the forgotten paths of history, to join our clan of dreamers and seekers of ancient tales, then I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It's more than just a click. It's a commitment to your own journey of discovery, a promise to yourself to seek knowledge, well-being, and continuous immersion in profound historical narratives. By subscribing, you become an integral part of our growing community, ensuring you don't miss any future expeditions into the calming depths of the past. Now, as the last embers of our Viking hearth glow, take a moment for yourself. Let the soft, ancient melodies guide you. Just absorb the echoes of this life, this world, this powerful spirit. Allow the profound resilience of the Viking, their connection to the wild, their acceptance of fate, to settle gently within your heart. This channel is your dedicated space to continue learning, to find calm, and to journey through the most fascinating corners of history, all meticulously crafted to guide you to deep rest. May your dreams be as vast and profound as the fjords and the open sea, and your rest as deep and restorative as the longhouse's embrace after a great journey. We eagerly await your return for our next adventure into the ancient world. Sleep well, intrepid traveler.